Stop. Listen to this sentence.
What defines that person is a bubbly.
Yeah.
You know what, Lloyd? So can you.
Oh, thank you.
We're just a couple of business anchors. Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. This jingle is slightly too long. This jingle is slightly too long.
So it's part 2 of the Knowlton Book Club. Me and Dan were just talking. I'll be honest, we had a brief break there for about 5 minutes talking about that episode, and we really enjoyed that, didn't we?
Yeah.
So hopefully you did. I assume if you're back for part 2, you're enjoying this so far.
I think you get a feeling when you're doing it, the vibe and how, I don't know, unless we're completely off and that was a terrible episode.
Well, if we are completely off, no one will listen to this one, and then they won't hear us being so wrong, so it's all right. But yeah, so we're going to continue. We've got, I think, another 7 books we're going to talk about, something like that. Might be wrong. Who knows? You're not going to count. And again, if you do want to find any of them, it's linktree/Knowlton, linktr.ee/KNOWLTON. So, I did mention there's going to be a very cringy story about when I met Gary Vaynerchuk at a book event as well. So,
can't wait to hear that.
I can wait because I cringe so much even thinking about it.
And it's on video, actually.
Yeah,
it's on video.
I can't watch it. I tried to watch it. I paused it and I can't watch it. So cringy. Okay, so our first book, Dan, you actually mentioned it. You just mentioned it, so it was good to continue. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People by, I don't know how to say that surname.
I think it's Dale Carnegie.
Carnegie?
I think so.
You can laugh at us in the comments on social media if we're wrong.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the last episode we spoke about not listening to some audiobooks even after you've bought them because they have an annoying robotic American person voice reading them. And actually, I must admit, I listened to this on audiobook and it has an annoying robotic American voice reading it. However, it's quite short and the lessons you learn are just make it worth the listening. But obviously you can get the book and read it, so you don't have to listen to that. But
I've listened to this one as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's I guess the summary, there's a few different points to talk about, some key takeaways, but the summary is it's a book about being a good human being, really. And whilst being a good human being, how you can get people to like you and if you get people to like you, you can get people to do what you want them to do. So it's clever.
Yeah, but I have to say, this is one of those books that kept coming up. People kept saying, "Oh, you should read it. You should read it." And I actually was put off by the title. And didn't read it or listen to it.
You thought you were manipulating people or something like that. It sounded unethical.
The How to Win Friends and Influence People, it kind of sounds like how to trick your way into people liking you. And it's a bit, and how to influence people. It's like,
it really
sounds
wasn't
a
that
bit
vibe,
like,
though. It really wasn't that vibe.
No, I know. That's what I was pleasantly surprised. In the end, I thought, I'll give it a go. People keep saying I should read it. And it's more about just genuinely being a good person. So
and the byproduct is that people like you.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
they'll do what you want them to do.
It's not like this is how you trick people into doing what you want. It's this is how to think about what you're doing and actually be a good, nice person. Yeah. And the result of that is And
I think there's a few things they talk about, kind of key ideas that they share, and some of them are so simple, but the way they talk through them and share stories makes them interesting. So again, this is so basic, but we all need reminding. One of the strategies or things he talks about to get people to like you, first of all, is to be genuinely interested in them. And this, when I was sort of listening to this and reading back on the summary to remind me, I remember it just reminds me of being at like networking events. You know, episode 1 of the Business Anchors podcast, we went into huge detail about all the weird, funny stuff that happens at networking events. And when you come out of a networking event, there's a few different types of people that you meet. People that want to talk at you and sell you their products and service. People that pretend to be interested in you to sell you their product or service. And then there's a few people that stand out to you as people that, oh, that was nice. They really felt interested in me, and you like those people more. And it just makes sense, really. Showing genuine interest.
When you were saying, I'm going to mention what I'm thinking, because when you said that, I thought of a person that I met. No.
Oh, okay.
I can speak about that. Our dad's really good.
Go on.
No, Jay Tunbridge. I met at a networking event, and it was actually one of the last networking things I ever did because I never really enjoyed networking because of what we spoke about in episode 1. By the way, probably the best episode we've ever done. We started at a high point, so listen to that if you haven't. But when I met him, I immediately thought, oh, you actually care about what I'm saying. You're actually genuinely interested in what I do and who I am. And the reason I think I noticed that he was like that, I know it's weird just shouting out one person. Hi, Jay, if you're listening. But it was so different because I'd say 95% of the people I was meeting weren't. They were pretending to care or not even bothering pretending.
Jay, just to shout out, Jay's Tunbridge Studio. He did all our branding and stuff. So
that's why I thought as well. I think it shows if you're genuinely...
We actually became a client of his because he was...
we paid him for our branding, our rebrand, all that kind of thing. So he was genuinely nice, unless he's just an absolute psychopath. He's so good at pretending to care.
No way.
And
we've spoken to him enough times. He's a genuine nice person.
And we have an ongoing relationship. He rents a space downstairs in the same building as us. We see him quite a lot. And just a really great guy. And I think that just is proof to me of someone. So not only was he just genuinely interested and nice, we then paid him to do stuff eventually. So it works.
So it definitely works. There's other things. Key takeaways, which this again sounds stupid. Smile is something Dale Carnegie goes into.
For the listeners, I'm smiling.
Yeah, well done, Lloyd. Thank you for that. You did do drama GCSE, so that's really good.
Smiling. I'm unhappy and dead inside, but I'm smiling.
And another thing he said, he talks into this about detail, but he said about this is just from the book. He says, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Now, me personally, I get this from Dad. I am terrible at this. I don't remember people's names, and I'm a shit person.
I have noticed that, Brian. Dad joke.
Okay, Lard. Sorry, Lloyd. But yeah, no. You, like when someone remembers your name and says your name, weirdly, you like them more. Which I think that's a very sweeping statement.
Agree with this. And also, if it's someone that maybe you've only met once and maybe not for long, if that person remembers your name, it's kind of like, oh, wow, I only spoke to you for like 10 seconds a couple of months ago.
And taking it to the next level, if that person remembers a fact or something that you've shared with them, see this, because I'm so rubbish, we use a CRM and sales system called HubSpot where you can write notes about things people have said. And that's really useful to me because I can actually remember things we've spoken about and can potentially mention them. Because
I do think, I think genuinely your memory for this sort of thing is a lot worse. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing using stuff to remind you because you want to be that nice person that's going to remember everyone's name, but I know that you find it much harder than I do with names and stuff like that.
I do remember someone giving me advice once which was about remembering names, or I watched a video, I can't remember how I found this out, but you basically associate it with something. So for example, if your name's Sally, you could say Sally Soap Pot and think of a soap pot. I know that's honestly, but then I did do it for a bit and it sort of worked, and then
I thought you were going to say the one where I heard if you say their name like 3 times when you meet them. Yeah. But then
your dreams come true.
I've heard people.
What books do you read? Horoscope books, Lloyd.
No. I think I've heard people doing this to me, and sometimes it sounds weird.
Lloyd.
Yeah, they go, "Oh, hi, Lloyd. Lloyd, great to meet you, Lloyd." And you kind of think, well, that sounded a bit mental. But I think it does work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So another thing, another kind of key takeaway is being a good listener. Now, I know Lloyd's going to probably start talking about me in this because he thinks I'm a terrible listener, but I do actively try and be better at listening, but I do struggle with listening.
No, I think you were a terrible listener, and I think you're much, much better now, and I actually think you're a good listener now. There's still sometimes when you're not, but
I get it from Dad. What again, sorry, I keep mentioning my dad, but what he does is, when he's listening to someone talking, and I do this, and I found myself doing it, he presumes what they're going to say and then starts saying it to finish their sentence. And like he does that with you a lot, and you get frustrated.
Yeah, he thinks he knows what I'm going to say, so he's already coming back to what he thinks I'm going to say. And it's literally, sometimes I have to say, stop. Listen to this sentence, because he's so sure that
he gets excitable.
Yeah.
Like, and he's saying positive stuff.
Yeah, I've just realised now sometimes I literally just have to shout stop at him, kind of reset. Okay, right, I'm not going to say what you think.
How patronising is that? Like?
Yeah, sorry.
Stop.
I wouldn't do it if it wasn't my dad.
Just a couple more points to key takeaways. Something else he says is about talking in terms of the other person's interests. So again, if you say, "Oh, I'm interested in skiing" as a small point, and then other things are discussed, if I start bringing up skiing and that's kind of like when you were skiing down a mountain, and
that's like that one time in Val Thorens. Oh, we had a great time. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you've got that association with them. You've got something in common.
Yeah.
Having things in common is another big one, actually. That wasn't in this book, but trying to, for me, the sales of our business, you're always trying to speak to someone and find out what they're interested in. Because if you say, like for me, skiing, I do actually do skiing like you. And if they like skiing, like, oh, where have you been? Oh.
I think as long as you're not faking, don't pretend to be.
You've had that a few times, I think.
Yeah. Like someone would go, oh, yeah, skiing. Yeah. And they kind of talk about it, and then you go, "Oh, so where have you been?" They go, "I haven't been yet." And you think, "Oh, you were just pretending to be interested, so that you." Yeah. But if there's anything it's fine to be interested in something and then talk more about that thing because the other person's got a. Yeah.
And the final thing, I know we've been in this book for a while. The final thing, which is I think this is so clever as well, is to make the other person feel important, but do it genuinely and sincerely. Again, don't try and trick them into, "Oh, Lloyd, wow, you're really good. You've done a lot in your life. You're really successful, aren't you? Wow."
It's very obvious if you go too far that way, because you just think you are being too nice.
Basically,
to me. This doesn't.
What defines that person is a bumlick.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, don't do that. Sorry, Lauren. That's in Lauren's ears while she's recording. Right.
But yeah, great book.
Yes.
Great book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie. Probably get the printed version because the American robotic voice is a bit boring.
Cool.
But
mark out of 100.
85.
Nice. I'll give it a 77.
Cool.
So next book is, I don't think I've got too much to say about this, but genuinely would want to recommend it to people. It's Lewis Howes' School of Greatness. If you haven't heard of Lewis Howes, I think I've actually read a book he's written after this, and I think he's even written another one since that. So this is one of his older ones, but maybe even his first book.
Is this the best one?
In my opinion, okay. Yeah. Because Lewis Howes, he's got a YouTube channel, and you can see him on Instagram. Basically search his name. There's lots of good stuff out there. But he's been interviewing and talking to, in inverted commas, successful people in lots of different fields for years now. And basically, he's a very humble guy, and he's just trying to learn from... He's had this goal of basically speaking to as many successful people as he could and learning whatever he could from those people. And the great thing about this book is it basically takes... one lesson that he's learned from someone that he's interviewed. So sometimes these are professional sports people, could be really successful business people, could be people that are just happy in their lives and have learned how to be happy and content, and could be celebrities. But he takes one lesson from a person he's interviewed and focuses on that. And I think that's really good, because imagine meeting like 200 really successful people, but only sharing the number one best thing you've learnt from them. So it basically means that all of the lessons in this book are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I've weirdly, I don't know why, but I've got a slightly negative perception of him.
Oh, really?
I don't know if I've been targeted with ads that comes across as the sort of buy my course sort of guy, but maybe I've got the completely wrong end of the stick. I don't know. A few things I've seen, it kind of gives that impression, but I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'm complete. But again, I guess the book's still...
I don't know. I've watched his YouTube channel and read his books and haven't... I don't sort of follow him religiously, but...
You're not religious, are you?
No. Not a Lewis Howes religious person. But yeah, his YouTube interview is really interesting if you're not into books and you're listening to this podcast, which would be weird, but thank you. Because, like I said, there'll be celebrities and sports stars and stuff that he's interviewed as well. But cool. Yeah, not too much more to say. But just if you want to learn from someone that's really open to learning from other people, which makes sense. Lewis is your guy. Yeah, listen to that.
I can feel a cringy story coming up. Lloyd.
Oh, I can't even say. Well, it won't sound as cringy as it was. If you want to know how cringy it was, you need to see the video. Oh,
but
God.
Because the reason I'm saying this is because we're moving on to Gary Vaynerchuk, which if you're in marketing, you definitely would have heard of. He's a kind of love-hate character. Certainly in our early days, through reading all of his books and going and seeing him at events and things, he helped shape our understanding of marketing, and we're going to go through some of his books in a minute. But we actually, I'll let you. Do you want to talk through your?
Well, all right, I'll tell you the cringy story, then we can talk about him and books and stuff. So we went to a book event for the Ask Garyvee book. It's basically an event where he was interviewed on stage and stuff, and then you could get your book signed.
Lloyd wore a suit.
Yeah. So at this point, I was still in my pretending to be good at business by dressing extremely formally, because that makes you good at business. So I was doing that, and it got to so we had a good time. Actually, I met Gavin Bell, who's the guy in the marketing space.
Yeah,
met him randomly in the queue in front of us to that event.
He's a really nice guy.
Pointless thing to mention, but hi Gavin, if you're listening.
He's not.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, so really good. Gary Vaynerchuk gave a really good talk. Very interesting, and a Q&A part. And for some reason, I put my hand up to ask a question, got picked.
No. Can we give more context? They asked if anyone's going to get up for questions. Lloyd jumped up like an excited child and put his hand up like,
yeah.
Bee, bee, bee.
And so basically, once I'd stood up to ask, my brain went into this weird mode, and I just started saying stuff that made absolutely no sense. So I'll try and recreate.
You've got to watch the
I'll try
video
and recreate
on
what
our
I
YouTube
actually said. Which, oh God, my heart's dropping even thinking of it. I feel so cringy. I just stood
Everyone
up.
turns around and
I
looks
stood
at
up
Lloyd.
and I said
It's
something
silence.
like this.
Gary's there listening to Lloyd's question.
Something like this. So he's expecting a question. I just, I'm wearing a suit. That was it. That was what I said. It was basically that. I just,
oh my God.
I can't even remember like what I was trying to get from that. But I basically just said.
I remember. Then you gave context as to why you were wearing a suit, didn't you? Didn't you say?
I tried to explain it. No, I was saying, I was trying to get your attention from wearing a suit. And it worked or something. Because he basically said something like, right, you're wearing a suit, dick. That doesn't make you better than anyone else. I think something like that. And I was like, no, I meant I'm wearing a suit to try and get noticed, and you noticed me. Oh God! And it was just the cringiest thing. Eventually got onto my question, and he answered it, but I think was a bit like, don't really want to answer this because you're a twat. But yeah, I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh my God!
But I basically just, I'm wearing a suit. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, so there's video evidence of this because the whole event was filmed. And Dan found the video about a year ago and sent me a link, I think. And I got to the point where I was just about to ask a question, and I physically couldn't make myself watch it. I couldn't bring myself to watch
do you know what we
that
should,
again.
as part of this, we should play it and react to it.
No. You can put it in a video for other people to watch. I'm never going to watch that again.
But anyway, that's Garyvee.
Yeah.
But his books, that's what we're talking about, books today, aren't we? So that we were there for the launch of his Ask Garyvee book. How many was this, like 4 years ago-ish?
Yeah. And if you want to win the signed copy of that book, Ask Garyvee. And you can just know, now you've heard that story, what I went through to get that signed book, and we're going to give it away.
What do they need to do to win it?
Sorry.
You forgot to say.
So I'm just going into I'm wearing a suit. Win a book. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Use the word Gary creatively, and we're going to give it away to one of our lovely listeners. And probably only 3 people will leave a review. So very high chance of winning. Yeah.
So Gary's books, he's got a number of different books. The Ask Garyvee book, which is there, and that book's he did the Ask Garyvee show, which is him on video. People ask questions and he answers them, and it's basically all the best questions. He answers them in that book, all about entrepreneurship, leadership, and HR stuff, loads of random things, parenting. So that's worth a read. His other books, Crushing It, he's done Crushed It and The Thank You Economy. So all of these, I'd really recommend listening to the audiobooks. The ones that there are audiobooks for, which is most of them.
Because he's
reads interesting to listen to.
He reads them, doesn't he? I think when the author reads audiobooks, to me, it's always more interesting, I think, because they're reading it in their voice. If they've written it, it's normally suits their way of talking and reading.
He doesn't just read it, he gets excitable, like his personality, and he'll just add something random into the audiobooks. You actually get more for your money.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. It's the book that he reads, and then in between he'll randomly say, "Oh yeah, when I wrote this happened, and I want it." Yeah,
but one of his older books, Jab 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 Right Hook, is such a good book. And the kind of the key takeaway, it's a metaphor for give, ask. So this is literally how we've based our whole marketing for our business. Because it gave us really good foundations, which is rather than going out and trying to sell to loads of people, provide value and let the opportunities come to you. So our whole strategy is around doing that and creating interesting content like this, hopefully, that draws people in. So that's really good.
So we're give, and then in a year's time, we'll say to you, like, buy our book.
Yeah, and then you'll do it.
And then you'll do it.
Another one, Crushing It, was where he basically interviewed loads of entrepreneurs who are smashing it and then shares why they're doing well and that sort of thing, which is really interesting. The Thank You Economy, this is one. Have you read The Thank You Economy?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I think it's probably his best book. Personally.
It's about, I haven't read it in ages, but it's about sort of customer service and how to make your customers feel amazing and want to keep coming back, right?
The value of just actually really being grateful for your customers, and actually the small things you can do. Like, this is just a bit of a tactic, but like, kind of, you've got a customer that's paying you shitloads of money. How about you actually think about something they'll like and send them a gift, or say to them, "Oh, you know that you love football.
Come to the Spurs
game with me. Do you
fancy
fancy coming to this game with me?
Yeah.
And we can spend some time together." Actually thinking about your customers, and again, like,
I think
if it's not like us and you've got customers paying bigger amounts of money, it might be that you're selling products to people that cost £10.
A signed note
in a shop. Yeah, something it could be a signed note. But even you notice coming to your shop, a boy's saving up his pocket money. He's only got £2, but he's been saving really hard.
And you tell him you haven't got enough money. Bugger off.
And his mum's been a customer of your shop for years. You just turn around and go, "Actually, I'm going to give you a discount. It's going to be £2 because you've done really well saving your money." The effect that will have on that family of, the guy in the shop, just let him have it for £2, even though it's cost £10.
Yeah.
They'll be loyal customers to you, probably for the next decade, 20 years, 50 years.
It's those things that
the value of that.
Trigger your emotions and things.
Yeah. Genuinely
doing nice
being
things,
grateful and having gratitude for your customers and the people around you. And it always, karma comes back around and it's always a good thing. Yeah.
So yeah, he's got lots of wicked books. Garyvee.
Review us with the word Gary creatively to win a signed copy.
So yeah, Lloyd, what other books are we talking about?
The next one is a book that I know nothing about, never read. This is something that you read, Dan.
Yes.
Unmarketing. Everything has changed and nothing is different, by Scott Stratton.
Yeah. So again, the author Scott reads this, and he's really interesting to listen to. I've seen videos online. He does did a lot of public speaking, and he's very funny. I don't know if he was a comedian before or something, but he's just got a real stage presence.
Yeah, like, some people say that about me.
Who?
Just some people.
No one's ever said that.
It's just they listen to the podcast and just say, "Well, have you been a comedian before or something?" Because
no one's ever said that.
Yeah, probably a few people in the comments or something.
So anyway. Now you've put me off my track. Oh, so Scott Stratton, Unmarketing. The whole book talks about basically how crap most marketing is and why, and how to do a better job of it, basically. And he really kind of shits on the disruptive, interruptive marketing where you're having a good experience and then someone pops up like, "Hey, buy my stuff." And it's interesting because throughout all of these 10 episodes, we talk through a whole load of stories about the different experiences of people doing it to us, trying to sell to us at events, and networking when people are disingenuous and try and sell you things. So yeah, he's got there's lots of funny. What I really like about this book is he doesn't just say, "Oh, here's a crap way of marketing, do it like this." He shares lots of interesting, relatable stories. So he says a point and then he backs it up with a story, and you remember it more. Even though I can't remember any now.
That disruptive marketing thing, I completely agree with this, and I want to make a prediction for the future as well. So when Facebook and YouTube was a platform that didn't have disruptive ads. So didn't have ads before you try and watch something. It didn't have mid-roll ads that interrupt your viewing experience.
You can't skip them, yeah.
My point of view, and I said this on stage a few times when Dan let me go on stage and stuff, was that is the way to go. A disruptive, the classic, I'm watching a TV program and every 15 minutes I'm going to be disrupted with this stuff. Oh, buy this stuff. Oh, buy this. I said that's not going to happen anymore. People don't want that. That's why people are watching stuff on YouTube, because they can actually enjoy what they want. And if you want to sell something, you have to be creative and make something brilliant that people choose to watch.
For our clients, like we do. Lloyd.
So I was really disappointed when platforms like YouTube and Facebook started. Then I think basically they got so big, they realised, we can make money quicker if we just sell advertising space like everyone always has. So they've basically become TV. So, watch this stuff, but we're going to interrupt you and sell you stuff in between.
Yeah.
I still think in the next 20 years, the platform that's going to win, whatever it is, and maybe even it's Netflix, because they're not disrupting people with adverts they don't want to see, or it's something different, a new social media platform, new way of consuming video that doesn't interrupt you, is going to win and wipe everything else out of the water. Because just like generations of younger kids and teenagers now don't watch TV because they're fed up of adverts and that traditional style, I think the next generations are going to be fed up of watching YouTube or videos on social media if they're continuously served advertising, disrupting their experience.
It just seems logical though. Like for me, it just makes you feel shit and annoyed when you're watching something good. I even took a stand on Facebook a few years ago that if I was watching a video and enjoying it, if an ad came up, to make my stand, I'd click off the video and wouldn't. Sounds so sad.
I still do that.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, I am not going to give you the
theory. I don't actually know if this is true, but I thought if I let Facebook know that I'm going to stop using their platform every time I see an advert, maybe the algorithm will show me less adverts.
Yeah, potentially.
Don't think it's worked, but I thought that might be.
Yeah.
That's been my probably year-long experiment that hasn't worked so far at the moment. So we'll see.
It just, for us, with our own marketing, our clients' marketing, you want your marketing to make people feel good. And I've never been disrupted with an advert, a mid-roll ad on a social platform that's made me feel good. It just makes me feel annoyed.
I think the only time,
even if it's good,
the only time that anyone ever is excited to see the adverts and be disrupted is the Super Bowl in the America, in the USA, and that's because they know in the Super Bowl, every ad that plays is really creative and it's going to be really interesting to watch. So then it becomes exactly what we're talking about of this isn't disrupting you. We're just showing you amazing stuff that you're going to enjoy watching.
Same as Christmas ads, Everyone queues up to see the latest John Lewis ad at Christmas.
Everyone queues up to see it, do they?
Everyone waits around, whatever you want to say, Lloyd.
Never seen a queue to watch a John Lewis advert. Please let me watch it on your screen. Cool.
That's another good book. Unmarketing, Everything is Changed and Nothing is Different by Scott Stratton. Oh, they've got a podcast too, him and his wife actually, which is another good listen.
Nice.
Yeah, check that out.
I've got a good book.
Go on.
We should have started everyone with that. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fudge.
Right.
By Mark Manson.
I haven't read this one. I'm interested to hear
interestingly,
what the takeaways are.
Again, I was a bit reluctant to read it because I felt like it's one of those where they've written a title to be controversial to get you interested.
Yeah.
And it worked. I bought it in the end. But actually, it's a very simple takeaway, again, I think, where you could probably not even listen to all of it or read all of it and get a huge amount of value. But this has had a similar effect to one of the books the Chimp Paradox.
Oh, okay.
It's a similar thing with me. It's slightly different, but has changed my way of thinking.
Go on.
So it's all about only placing value on the things that actually are important or meaningful to you or going to have a big effect on your life.
Right.
And so,
like what?
and not give a fudge about other stuff. So, like I said earlier in part 1, road rage. Someone nearly crashes into you. They nearly ruined my car. And then you realise, so not giving a fudge about stuff that isn't going to have an effect. So they didn't. So
what's the point
I don't give
about that?
I don't give a fudge. Whatever about that, because that's just going to be a waste of my time, negative energy. And then also learning that in the news cycle and stuff going on in the world, so a lot of people look at things, so like at the moment there's a pandemic, there's protesting and rioting in the streets, and there's things that can get a lot of people really down, feeling negative about the world and thinking, how am I ever going to be happy? How am I ever going to achieve what I want in my business if there's a pandemic and there's going to be a recession? But if you actually realize to not give a fudge about that negative stuff and focus on what's actually important and meaningful and the actions that are going to have a positive impact. So realizing I should not give a fudge about this recession that's probably coming. What I should do is focus my time and energy on focusing on what I'm going to do to make sure.
So how do you, I mean, that sounds great. I guess it's thinking about how do you actually make sure you do that? Do they share any kind of ways of like, so that's the theory. Yeah. Now, whenever you think anything, do this thing. Or do you just...
I can't really remember, but my if I'm honest, but my thing that I've taken away from it that I do, if I ever feel a bit like the chimp paradox, if I ever feel that I feel negative towards something,
do you think does it matter?
I think actually beyond like the next 24 hours, is it going to have any effect that is worth me spending time and energy on it?
Yeah.
So for example, even if it has a longer effect, but if you're going to get on your deathbed, I think, Dan, you've said this on stage before. Say Dan was talking on stage and he fluffed up a bit of his presentation. He's feeling really negative about it.
Which has happened. If you can imagine you on your deathbed and you're not thinking, how positive
in 2018, it was so annoying when I fluffed that bit of the presentation. If you can't imagine yourself doing that, you probably don't need to remember it or give a shit about it because it's not important.
What you might think is, throughout my whole life, have I been a kind person to other people?
Yeah.
And then that might be, or have I seen the people I love enough?
Yeah.
Or that,
like that.
Things that actually matter.
Like, again, road rage incident. Will you look back and think, bloody hell, in 2018, that man on Nass Road really annoyed me? Or are you going to think, throughout my life, even when people have done things to me, and I actually say, don't worry, mate, like, it's okay. You might have improved thousands of people's lives because they're having a terrible day. You're going to feel like an amazing person. Yeah. Life Lessons with Lloyd Knowlton.
So, Lloyd, how do people listen to these books? Where do they go?
Well, they just go to linktree/Knowlton. That's linktr.ee/KNOWLTON.
I like that. Is that your new advert voice? We've had the radio voice before.
I think I could do voiceovers.
I think you could.
Because I think I haven't got the typical voiceover voice, but I could be one that you notice, like, oh, that's...
Give us a couple. Give me a few different sort of voices that you can do. Go on.
Put me on the spot.
Go on.
What do you mean, a couple of different voices?
Like, if I was do a voiceover for this advert for this mug.
Okay.
Go on. Voice number one. Tell us which one you like.
So this is the approachable, normal guy. A bit like, maybe like James Corden. He's just like an average chubby man.
Okay, go on.
Here at Dan's Mugs, we really appreciate your mug drinking coffee stuff. Oh, now I would have to know how to speak though, wouldn't I, and say words that make sense.
Yeah, you tend to not be great at that.
But then there's the more formal one. Dan's Mugs are a perfect way to eat your drinks. Oh no! See,
you've got confused with the eating.
I focus on doing the voice, and then I can't speak.
Okay. I've got one. Yeah. Give me an advert for the mug, but it's aimed at elderly people, who you want to buy the mugs. Okay. Or post off something to. Okay. Go on then.
Isn't it annoying when your grandkids say about FaceChat and Instagram and Snapbook? Trying to buy products through those services can be really tricky. You can just post an envelope with buy mug and a check for £79 and we'll post you the best mug that you've ever seen. Remember, be loyal to people like me and be a customer for a long time because you can trust me because I'm similar to you.
Okay, one more. Give me a teenager. I'm a teenager, and it's I want to buy that mug.
Okay.
Okay. This is so fun. There might be more after this one because I'm enjoying this too much.
Okay.
I'm like a stroppy teenager or something. Like,
We don't all have to do the same thing. Just listening to our parents drinking from what they want us to drink from. How about we have our own personality? Drink from the mugs we want to drink from. We don't have to be the same as everyone else. We can be individual by doing the same thing as all other teenagers. Buy this mug and go against your parents. They're wrong. Okay, right. Let's.
I was enjoying that.
Oh, okay. Isn't it just a weird thing to do in the middle of the podcast?
Okay. Well, one more.
Okay. Then we'll get on to our final book.
Yeah. Well, then final book. Give me obviously this isn't allowed because you can't advertise to children. But like your son. Okay. Advertise to your son Leo about this mug, trying to get him to buy it.
Okay. Cool. Did Spider-Man drink from that mug? I think he did. You should get your parents to buy this. Spider-Man and all the other Marvel superheroes drink from this. So get your parents' credit card, call this number, and buy it now. Spider-Man would. Okay? Right, now moving on, because this is really weird, and I think Dan's really enjoying it, but no one else will.
Okay.
So final book is... Daniel Priestley, oversubscribed. How to get people lining up to do business with you.
I think we've both listened to this book, haven't we?
Nope.
Have you? I thought you told me about it ages ago.
I think I started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Again, I'm pretty. I listened to it a while ago. I think Daniel Priestley himself.
Oh no,
reads
I have read it.
I thought you read it.
It was a long time ago, though. Yes, I have. Yeah.
So it's a really clever book. The whole principle is around getting your business oversubscribed with customers. So there's too many customers and you can only serve X amount of them. And I guess for me, it changed the way of thinking about, if someone gets in touch with you, just work with everyone and do all of that. Whereas if you are clever with the way your marketing messages, you can be oversubscribed and only choose to work with the best people, charge what you're worth, and rather than just sort of working with everyone. And yeah.
I think psychologically it definitely works, doesn't it? If you say, "Oh, I'm interested in working with you," and someone responds by going, "Yeah, okay, I can do it now if you want. How much do you want to pay? Anything. Yeah, I'll do it." Then you kind of think, "Oh, I'm not sure." Whereas if someone says, "Okay, be interested to speak to you. We only work with businesses that we really think are a good fit, and we actually limit the amount of people we work with to make sure we do a good job." That makes you think, "Oh,
One sort of negative thing on that though is I don't like the whole. You need to be genuine. One of the key things he says is to register interest. If you, rather than releasing a new product, get people to register interest to buy the product, and then have a limited number of people who you'll sell it to. But there's that, and then we've experienced in the past with events and things where they say only 10 tickets left, the 10 customers, when really they're just selling hundreds behind the scenes. I think if you're sort of not honest and there's a difference between clever marketing messaging and just lying and deceiving your
what
audience.
I think is you can actually genuinely be like this. So you can change your own behaviour, and you can say, actually, we are going to be more selective about who we work with, and we're going to charge slightly more and try and get a really good fit with businesses that are going to pay us what we're worth. Then I think it's a good thing. But if you're just faking it and you've got no customers, but you're just going, "Sorry, I'm going to have to add you to our waiting list. We'll have Sharon in accounts call you when we've got some more room," when actually there's no Sharon and you haven't got a waiting list. Yeah, I think that's the difference.
Yeah, his other book as well that I've read, he's got a number of books. Key Person of Influence is about all the things you need to do to build your influence, which is something I learned a lot from with like building your personal brand. And he does say in there that everyone should write a book, which I don't agree with, which we've spoken about in a previous episode. However, he does say lots of clever, interesting things. So,
and do you know what? You're allowed to really like some opinions of people, and sometimes they can say things and you can not agree with them, and you can still really like them.
Thanks for that patronising insight.
That's okay.
Do you know what, Lloyd? Yeah. So can you?
Oh, thank you. I don't know why I said it like that, really.
Literally, like if you're listening to that, how patronising did that sound? Do you know what you can do, you stupid, insignificant person who's listening to this podcast?
Oh, no, I wasn't talking to the listeners. I was talking to you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now it makes sense.
Oh, do you know what? These last 2 episodes... Yeah, I have really. These have been some of my favourite to record.
I think it's nice to talk about things that you've really learnt a lot from and pass on that knowledge.
And hopefully, even if like a few people read some of these books, hopefully it helps.
Please do let us know if you do start reading or listening to these books. Let us know and let us know how you get on. And if you finish them and learn anything, please, even if it's like in 6 months, let us know, because we'd really like to hear that.
Make us feel good.
Yeah. And also, if I can ask a favour, if you're this far into part 2, everyone, I assume you're quite enjoying these podcasts, and we are loving making them. This is something in our week we really look forward to doing. So if you can do us a favour, if there's anyone that you think would also enjoy this, we're really trying to grow the audience so we can do this more and put more time and resources into it. So we'd love it if you could just tell people about the Business Anchors podcast.
Or we could go down sort of an unethical route, and anyone who you're around who's got a phone on them, just play the podcast. You don't have to listen to it. And then the more people that just have it playing on a phone, that will trick the algorithm into thinking that there's loads of people listening.
So it maybe even steal phones and do it. Yeah, or do that. We go that way if you want. Yeah. But don't forget.
Either way.
Yeah, either way. Don't forget, guys, I know I've said it a lot, but Linktree/Knowlton, linktr.ee/KNOWLTON if you want any of those books. Review us with the word Gary in it for a chance to win that Gary Vaynerchuk book.
Don't forget about the
signed Gary Vaynerchuk book.
Signed Garyvee book. I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, quite a good prize. Quite a good prize. Really not selling that one. This is quite good, so leave us a review. But thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for listening all the way into the end of part 2. You are our most important listeners that make the algorithms think, cool, this podcast must be good. So appreciate you. Love you all. Oh, we said that at the same time.
Jinx. Remember when you used to say jinx if you said something at the same time and then you weren't allowed to speak until you said
and also remember every episode when we try and end it, but then we keep talking about stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are you up to later anyway?
Not sure really. Fancy a beer, but I'm not drinking this week to try and be good. So
gutted. I'm gonna have a beer.
Okay. See you later, guys.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.